And so welcome into the sanctuary, everybody. And those of you who are new, we're very honored that you're coming to join us today and to go away feeling the way we always do, the better for it. And so today's topic is reverence. And it's not something you and I are used to thinking about too often or are tuned into too often, alas. And when you go to the dictionary to look for reverence, it comes up with all kinds of nouns like adoration, veneration, worship, deep respect, awe and wonder. And these are all descriptions of the experiences we feel when we are closely connected with more than just ourselves. When we're closely connected with all of life and we see life the way the soul sees life within us. But then we often don't pay attention to our souls, do we? We're very into our minds most of the time. So this week is all about you and I truly giving ourselves an opportunity to experience reverence. The revering of our own individual lives and the revering of all of life, the life that we encounter throughout this week. And it's going to be a tall task, I can tell you. It really, really is. Because we're not used to being reverential in each other's company and so on. Because in the past and for eons, reverence was something that was given only to the deity or given only to a saint or a sacred place. This is how we viewed reverence. These things and the Godhead and saints were worthy of such reverence. But since then, we have grown exponentially in our spiritual awareness, and we have come into a new understanding as truth students and as individuals who are very seriously taking their spiritual life in hand and desiring to become more spiritually skilled, more spiritually mature as truth students. And so consequently, we now understand that all of life is sacred. All of it is sacred. And so we enter into a whole different relationship with life when we know that. And in that all of life is sacred, you are included, and so am I. So reverence first begins with an understanding and an awareness of that reverence within you and within me. Why would I revere myself, or why would I revere you? Because God dwells in you as you. In me as me. That is why I would revere myself, or I would revere you and all of life, because I have an understanding now that I am intrinsically connected to everything and everyone, and everything and everyone is intrinsically connected to me. And it's good. It's very good. So when you see the tree of life, the rest of us are its roots and its branches. And all of its roots are intertwined. All of them. Branches too. And so we come into a whole deeper sense of what it is to be alive in a world that is a sacred place to be. Now, looking out there with your five senses, we're not going to get that. We're not going to get that if we just look and perceive with our five senses. Our five senses are very worldly oriented. Our five senses are our exterior way of interacting with an exterior world. But remember, we are more than our five senses. We are more than a form, much more than a form. And we do have an interior life. And within the interior life, there are multi senses. And we can go up and up and up the scale of senses. Not just to the sixth sense, but the seventh and the eighth and the ninth and beyond and beyond and beyond. When you're on the inside of life and you're in tune with it, and you're at one with it. And this is not for the few. This is a capability that each and every single one of us has. But like anything else, as far as a skill is concerned, we have to hone the skill, we have to learn the skill, and we have to keep practicing the skill. So to be those of us who are able to move through the exterior and the interior world quite easily, we have to hone our skill on doing that. And there's no other way around that. And to know and to express and to experience and to feel that all of life is sacred, I have to have an interior expression of life as well as an exterior one. So, I have to see with more than the physical eye. I have to see with the eye of wisdom, and the eye of truth, and the eye of knowledge and comprehension on the inside of life as well. You and I have been given the awesome task of wakening up. That's all, of wakening up. Stop sleeping and wakening up. Now, some of us are strongly engaged in that process. Some of us are just about dappling our feet in it, and some of us are unconscious to it. And we go through all of those phases, in and out of them all the time. Sometimes we're highly alert, highly awake, highly aware. Sometimes we're snoring our heads off. And we need a spiritual community around us because of that to nudge us, and wake us up when we do fall asleep. Gently, not knock us over the head, but gently wake us up when we fall asleep. We need each other along this journey on planet Earth, three-dimensional planet Earth, to keep us awake, to keep us focused. Sometimes somebody has to bring you coffee, that's just how it is. And so this week the challenge is for you and for me to set the tone, to understand what reverence is. Reverence is the ability to see beyond the shell of appearances and go into the essence of a person or a place or a thing. Reverence is a holy perception. Reverence is what just beautifully bubbles up out of the soul. It's a soul thing. So you and I are asked to live a soulful week this week, where the soul in me encounters the soul in every person, place, and thing, and doesn't allow the mind to interfere with it. I love that chapter in Zhukov's Seat of the Soul on reverence, because he looks at it in a way I hadn't looked at it before, I have to say. And he points out things that are important for us to know. And he says, we must not mistake the clothes a person wears with the person that's wearing the clothes. Whether those clothes happen to be, a sweatsuit or a business suit, or whether it's a ball gown, or whether it's a tuxedo, or whether it's a working pair of jeans, whatever it is, we're not supposed to get stuck at the level of appearance, which is what we do when we're using only our five senses. We judge everything by appearances at the level of the five senses. Yes, we do indeed. And so when we're in a state of reverence, we're in a state of awe, we're in a state of wonder, we're in a state of praise and gratitude. That's what happens when we're in a state of reverence. And so we can all ask ourselves the question this week, how reverential am I? How am I aware of being reverent and everybody else being reverent? I have to tell you, I had a very tough time with the title reverend when I became a minister. I had a very tough time with that because I thought, this is awesome, this is big, this is big. And if I have to measure up to that, that's huge. That's huge. And so I did. I had a struggle with that and a tough time with that. Then when they made me a doctor, I went, okay, I only have to be a doctor now. And it was a relief. But I love the whole concept that we're invited into this week. I love that whole concept. Because can you imagine what your life would be like and the changes that would occur in your life if you were to think from and feel from and do from and be from the point of reverence for all of life, knowing it's all sacred? Oh my gosh, there'd be so many changes in your life for the better. Can you imagine what this world would be like if we could catch the consciousness of reverence for all? Because we haven't, that's why the world is in the state it's in. We haven't done that yet. And Gary Zukov says, you know, our politicians and our educators and our entrepreneurs and our scientists have to catch the consciousness of reverence. And he asks the question, do you think that you would find within science, within politics, within academia, you know, within business, would you find reverence if you went searching for it? And his answer is, not so much. Not so much. Because if it was there, our world would be different. And he says that this is what has to happen with our politicians in the service of us, the people. They have to start coming from the soul of themselves and the heart of themselves when they are, you know, making decisions that affect all of life. And their decisions ought to show a respect, a reverence for not we, the people alone, but for the planet, for the earth, for everything in the decision making. He says, what a world it would be if that was the case. Same with the scientists, same with the educators, same with the, you know, entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs, he said, if they weren't so focused on all the almighty profits all the time, profit, 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 it's all about profit, 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 make profit at any cost, make profit, through the service they give. He said if they were to focus on giving great service, they would discover that the profits were secondary and they would come. But focus on the service, on the service, on the service, and not the profits, you see. Well, you could boil that down to your life and my life too. You know, just don't plaster it on the face of a politician, etc. But this is pertaining to you and to me too, where our focus comes from. And I can assure us all that if we were to be in that state of reverence, that state of awe and wonder and praise and gratitude, we would treat ourselves and each other very differently. And we would treat our planet differently too. To be in awe, to be in awe, to be in wonder. And it's not easy in this day and age to be in awe and to be in wonder. The wonder and the awe is taken away from us because we are given everything to mostly shock us on the media across the board. Reverence for life, reverence for each other. There was a lovely young lady, a 25-year-old on The View, interviewed on The View. And apparently she has this disease, and God knows I can't remember the name of it, but only 3 people on the planet have it. Some of you may have seen that episode. 3 people on the planet have it. And it's a disease wherein you have no flesh on your bones, no muscle, no muscle. You're just a skeletal outline covered in skin. And so you can imagine how she was treated as a child by her, you know, her peers and so on and so forth. She had fabulous parents, however, fabulous, terrific parents. She didn't know she was anything but gorgeous and beautiful and capable and so on until she went to school. And then it all began. And then something happened that her, you know, a picture of her or something got on the internet. And there was about 3 million messages that came to her, all deriding her and all demanding that she, you know, kill herself as soon as possible. She was so ugly, she shouldn't exist, and so on. Reverence? I don't think so. However, she got an opportunity to be on TED Talks. And she didn't retaliate at all. She just shared from her perspective and her point of view. And she got millions and millions and millions of beautiful responses as a result of that. Very wonderful, celebratory and congratulatory responses from all over the world. Well, all over the world. And you see, my dear ones, it's so not easy to show deference and reverence in our day and age, and especially when we can cowardly get on a tweet or get on a text or get on an email or get on a website and think that we're, nameless and unseen, and then spew all this stuff out. It's become more difficult to hold on to a sense of reverence for the people that do that as well. And yet that's where we must be as truth students, as spiritually maturing individuals and expressions of the divine. That's where we must be. We must be in observation without evaluation, no judgmentalism. But in observation without evaluation. That's how a spiritual soul is. Indeed, that's how the soul is. It's the mind that goes into judgmentalism. It's the mind that weighs pros and cons. It's the mind that operates in a dualistic world and decides what's right and decides what's wrong. And as Rumi says, one of the greatest of all mystics of our times, he says, it's only out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, and that's where I'll meet you. And we cannot meet each other in truth until we go beyond ideas of wrong and right, judgmentalism and duality, to be able to reverently encounter each other at a soul level. And that's what we're called to. As off the wall as this seems, as so away from our experience in life and living as it seems, that's what we're called for. That's why all of us are in this room today, or we wouldn't be here if we didn't, at some level, register that this is what we're called to. This is what we're called to. But the first honoring and reverence and respect must be here. Must be here, bowing to my own soul. And why would I have to do that, or could do that? For one reason and one reason alone. Out of very few possibilities, I was chosen as you were, by the divine to be its own expression in form, so that the divine might know the divine self by means of you. Now, that's beyond awesome. And it's beyond mind-blowing. Because it's beyond mind-blowing, our minds are not blown by knowing that. Because if we really grasped that, we would be in awe and wonder and praise and gratitude every single moment of our lives. We would be so reverential in the way we deal with ourselves and each other. It would be amazing. It would be absolutely amazing. We do away with all altars and all spiritual paraphernalia and all sacred places, because we would have found the most revered place of all, the soul within ourselves and the soul within each other and the soul within all of life. And nothing would be differentiated from the next as far as this is more holy than that, this is more sacred than that, because we would know that it's all sacred because it's all divinely created. And the divine creates out of itself. Nothing else to create out of. So it's all divine. And that's what this week is all about. So this week you and I are invited to ask ourselves some questions, How often have I judged other people by appearances or hearsay or just a first impression? And how often have I been judged by hearsay, first impression, and appearance? And how did that feel when I was judged in that way? Am I not capable of going a little bit deeper and beyond what the senses are telling me, the outward senses are telling me, the worldly senses are telling me? Do I not have a capacity to come to an understanding of you on my own without anybody, informing me, etc.? Can I not see beyond the appearance of you like that beautiful 25-year-old? It's an interesting question to ask, and that's what we're asking ourselves this particular week And as well as that, we're tasking ourselves this week. We are tasking ourselves to go into the world as this reverential being, revering all that comes our way, crosses our path. And we're going to observe ourselves and how well we do with regard to reverence. And we're going to observe everybody else around us and see how reverent everybody else around us is. Or not, as the case may be. But if I can amp up my own sense of reverence, I will be helping all those around me to recollect, even if it is unconsciously, that there's more to all of it than what they're perceiving and then what they're judging as a result of what they're perceiving. I don't have to enter into a conversation with anybody to be a real and very present help in the world. I just have to be the thing itself. And that is the best help I could be in the world. I don't have to preach. I don't have to shake my finger. None of that. I just have to show up as it, as that energy of awe and wonder and love and light and beauty and grace and beingness. So that's what we're called to. And the other challenge is, because this is never going to happen until you and I get our spiritual ducks in a row. Until we sort things out spiritually, tie up spiritual knots, it's not going to happen. So I'm inviting us to look at one person in our lives, somebody with whom we were very close once upon a time. Somebody who was a friend, might be a relative either, but we had this close relationship once upon a time. But now there's distance between us. We've somehow separated, we've gone our own ways, we've fallen apart. And to ask ourselves, how did that happen? Why did that happen? Was it because we were judging each other by appearances? Was it because we fell into jealousy or resentment with each other? What was that caused that separation? And are we willing to look at maybe we could reunite with that person? And bring that circle to its completion, because it's not complete the way it is. I'm just giving us a hard thing to do so that we understand that this is spiritual practice of the best kind. And it's tying up our loose spiritual ends so that we don't have to drag that with us into another lifetime. And that we leave our business complete when it's time to go. So that one person, whatever that looks like to you, I'm inviting us to do that, me too, to look into that and to see what needs to happen for that situation to go away, because it never goes away. That person crops up in your mind every now and again as a feeling. Yeah. And you want to forget about it. That's past, that's in the past, forget about it. Well, you can't. It won't let you forget about it. Your soul won't let you forget about it, because it's unfinished business, spiritual business. And it's all about completing our spiritual business as well as the other stuff. And some of us are better at completing our human stuff. The bit, oh, I have to get this done and that done, leave everything in order and so on and so forth, etc. Well, don't forget your spiritual stuff, Moira. Don't forget that. Because that is most seminal in your life, in mine, of the utmost importance. Because let me tell you, as long as all of those spiritual loose ends are there, we will never find peace, we will never find joy, we will never find true happiness, we will never find true contentment, we will never really be satisfied. It doesn't matter what the successes are that we achieve, we will not be satisfied. We can't be satisfied because we're not taking care of the important business in our lives, our spiritual business. So the challenge is for each and every one of us this week to take care of this one situation and know that it is possible, not because of ourselves, but because of the power and the presence of the infinite within us, and our souls help in doing so. And to go soulfully through life today, tomorrow, and the next day for this week, and to be at that higher conscious level of awareness. And all of that will help assist us to tie up our loose ends, whatever they are, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, whatever they are. We'll get aid and assistance because we want it, and we're deliberate about it, and we're purposeful about it, and we're intentional about it, and we really, 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 really desire it. It's the way it is. So I'm saying to you, my dear ones, you are worthy and entitled to be revered. And so is everybody else in your life. And so this might be a good way to get a kickstart on all of that if we haven't been paying attention to it. So honor yourself and love yourself and respect yourself and revere yourself, because God dwells in you as you. How awesome is that? And so it is.
We invite you to experience Dr. Moira in person on Sundays. Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at RedondoCSL.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.